Hello class, my name is Debora Vito, and for my Teach 1, I'll be covering week 3 and 4 risk assessment assignment question 3. At first, we need to read our data into Python from Excel. Now, the data here is obtained from answering question 2, so that will need to be done first in order to move on with answering question 3 and following along. Once you've done that, import pandas and numpy libraries in because you'll be using them and read your data into Python as shown below, and you should have a data that looks very similar to mine on the right side. This has patients' IDs, their ICD-9, along with their likelihood ratios. Since the question is asking to calculate the probabilities for each patient, we're going to need to filter out our IDs and calculate it for each patient. So we'll have patient 1, patient 2, patient 3. This is to doing so for patient 1. In order to calculate the probability of the likelihood ratios of long stay, we will first need to calculate the logs and odds. I first transformed my likelihood ratios for patient 1, which is 2.6, 1.63, and 1, into logs. Then I calculated the sum of logs to get to my odds. You can see this part on the first part and second part of my code. The result will be your table should now have your ID, ICD-9, your likelihood ratio, log, and odds. Once you have this, it's easy to calculate the probability using that formula. Now just remember, your probability has to always be between the range of 0 to 1. And in doing so and using that formula, you will obtain a probability of 0.65 for patient 1. Now I know they're repeated values, but because I've placed it into my data frame, it just inputted them by duplicating it. But all you need to know is the odds are 1.872 and the probability is 0.65 per patient 1. Moving on to patient 2. I used the same method as I used for patient 1. I first started by filtering the data out for patient 2, then I went on to transforming and summing my log and calculating my odds, and then I used my odds to calculate my probability as shown below. So for patient number 2, you can see their probability of long stay is 0.78. Lastly, we have patient 3. And again, use the same method for patient 1 and 2, and you should obtain a probability of 0.87. So as you can see, this patient has the highest probability for long stay, and it's actually not quite surprising because they have multiple comorbidities compared to patient 1 and 2. Thank you for tuning into my presentation. Feel free to contact me if you need any additional help on how to answer question 3 as well as question 2.